Hey guys, this is IX with RolloutReviews doing another Let's Build, and since the last one I've gotten a good night's sleep, I'm re-energized, ready to go, and still slowly healing, so that's good. Anyway, let's jump right in with the third of the elemental beasts from the summer 2016 wave. This is Quake Beast. And admittedly, this is kind of where the dual element theory sort of falls apart. I think the other two make complete sense. Stone and fire for Lava Beast, water and ice for Storm Beast, but all that leaves for this guy is Earth, which does make sense, and then jungle. You sort of have to stretch your imagination for that one. Maybe that means the theory lacks credence, maybe that means I'm just not seeing it with this particular one. I guess it could be stone and earth, but then that leaves Lava Beast with jungle, and I think that makes even less sense on some level. I don't know, I guess there are earthquakes in the jungle? Anyway, let's move Onua out of the way here and take a look at the box. You got Onua in the background here having a bad time. He's got Onua's mask and is corrupting it up here in his shoulder mouth? I don't really know. I do really like how his little swords here that stick off his other shoulder are piercing through the logo and coming up on top of the box. That's kind of neat. Quake Beast, of course. On the back here we have, a similar variation to the comic we've seen on the other ones. Have the combiner model as well. I don't know, this guy looks pretty good on the box art, and in all the promotional images I think he looks pretty great, but after seeing pictures of the set in hand, I'm less than impressed. However, generally when I see those kinds of pictures, they're not posed very well, and I end up liking them better in person because, I don't know, maybe it's conceited, but I like to see myself as pretty good at posing action figures, so we'll see what I can do with this guy. Anyway, let's get my knife here and slice right in. One bag, 2 bags, couple of crystal blades, of course the instructions, those are kind of bent, but let's get the box out of the way here. Here is the bigger bag, and something has already caught my eye. The chest piece here. That kind of looks familiar, actually, that color. I do wonder if this is in any way similar to the old style of purple from the original series that they retired several years ago. That could be good for mocking if that's true, because all we've seen in, the past several years is this kind of new color of purple, which isn't quite the same. But anyway, let's open this right up, like that. Actually, only 2 bags. There isn't a smaller bag, so hey, that's different. Let's bring the camera down so we can actually get a look at our nice pile of pieces there. And then, of course, give me a moment to bring the camera up, sort these pieces out, and then we'll get building. First things first, let's flip through the manual pretty quick here. On the first page, we have our little man sorting out his parts, so check. Now let's see how many pages are in the instructions in total here. 38. I think that's pretty standard. I feel like Storm Beast had the exact same number. You also have a parts count back here, a poster, the comic book there, and then of course the combiner model. Now let's take a closer look at some of the more interesting pieces in this set. First of all, touching back on what I mentioned earlier, let's compare this color on the torso here to old purple. And yeah, you know what? It's actually pretty close. It's not exact, but I think if you made a mock with old purple and some black and green, that would fit rather nicely. So that's good. It certainly matches this color of purple more than it does any of the other purples in this set. Here it is, you know, with the trans purple here. And here it is with the solid purple. So kind of a similar thing going on here to Pohatu from earlier in the year, where he just had like a ton of different shades of brown for no particular reason. There's just a bunch of different shades of purple. Here, of course, is the Beast Mask of Corruption there. Same mold as all the others, just in solid purple and trans neon green. I honestly would have liked to see this in black in trans neon green instead of purple. I think that might have fit better, especially since Lava Beast has orange instead of green. It still would have been a new color, but oh well. Here you have Onua's Corrupted Mask. First of all, let's compare it, you know, to the black and silver one. I don't know, it actually looks pretty good. At first I thought this was apple green, and I thought that might have been the connection to jungle in this case. But no, I think it is the trans neon green. It's just that the black color is kind of creating an optical illusion, or I don't know, maybe it is apple green. I honestly can't tell. From some angles it looks one way, from other angles it looks another way. You have the jaw piece, that's nothing new at this point. And then, you know, the crystal blades. I think these are the same ones from Pohatu? Yeah. Pohatu and Qatar. You then also have the molar armor piece here, the crystal armor piece in purple, and that is delicious. One of my favorite Lego colors, of course. Anything else? Little spike ball piece. And the head in trans neon green, of course. And I think that's gonna just about do it. So let's move these out of the way just a little bit so we can open the instructions to page 1 and get started. So this guy just uses like a standard body piece, although this doesn't have the shoulder ball joints. It's like a hybrid between the 2016 chest piece with the gear, but then it has this towards the bottom. I think this might have been introduced in Star Wars, actually, but I do believe it's new for BIONICLE, so that's interesting. Now we need some pins here. Just like that. Moving on. I do find in this setup, because I have the instructions right here, sometimes it has a little bit of a difficult time focusing on the subject that's being built, but I suppose that's the price to pay. I don't know, I'd certainly enjoy kind of seeing the instructions themselves in a video like this, personally. So, tell me what you think. What next? We need a Glatorian neck here. That's in the ball joint pile over there. And now, slight tangent. Face it like that. And feed that through here. All right. Nothing super interesting so far. But maybe we'll get there eventually. Like I said, I do hope this guy looks a bit better in person than some of the pictures I've seen. Sorry if I'm bumping the camera, by the way. It's kind of up in my grill here. Okay, so now we gotta flip this around. And put a few more pins in here. Surprise, surprise. Oh, and now we kind of just set this off to the side for now. Let's throw that in there. Now this guy actually has a gearbox, like a standard arm gearbox. However, there's a twist to it. So we're going to put this in here, like that. And then, oh, wow. We kind of this weird thing. Oh, I put it over here when I was doing that comparison. It's like, why is the translucent piece not in my translucent bin? But I found it. And then, let's see, that slides through here. And then I need a couple of these. And what else? One of these. And then a Glatorian neck. Yep. There you go. So that goes on like that. And this fell out, so let's get that back in there. That goes on there. So that's the kind of thing we're working with right now. Next, we need another gear here. And we have to get this flipped around and straight. And put it on like that. So, we're getting there. Okay, and this is where things get very interesting. Is this actually the right piece? Hold on. Yeah, it should be. Definitely looks kind of weird here. They didn't push it all the way through. So that's interesting. Oh no, it's just kind of an illusion. They actually had me put a gear on here that I missed. It kind of blended into the color, and I didn't see that on this page. I'm sorry for that. But let's do that. Let's do it. Let's do it right. We're doing it live. Okay. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense. And then I'm gonna take another one of those little gears. And just like the old days, we're gonna add a bit of friction. Oop. Like that. So, yeah, that works pretty well. Now, this is where things get even more interesting, because we take one of these, and one of these little pieces here plugs onto it. Then that goes on here like this. So you turn the gear function using this little lever, which I think is a cool idea, actually. Very neat. Okay. And then this whole thing, make sure I'm doing that right. Actually, I think this should be attached here, like that, in that orientation. And then this whole thing attaches like sideways, like that. Oh, wait a minute. Did I mess something up earlier on? Yeah, this is actually supposed to go here. And then that goes on there. That makes more sense. So yeah, one of his arms is attached to a gear function and will swing forward and back here. And then the other arm is just stationary. Kind of lopsided, kind of weird, but I like the concept at least, so let's see how it turns out in the end. Let's put that there for now while we work on the legs, which I believe ×2 here are exactly the same. So we need some pins, need these little pieces here. And we need some connectors, of course. Or deconnects. And that goes on like that. So a little bit different than the other beasts. All the beasts have their custom legs, but all three of them are, slightly different in some ways. I think these are the shortest of the bunch. They're actually kind of similar to lava beasts, but yeah, I like it. I don't know. That should provide a really good ankle tilt, at least. A little bit more than the Glatorian neck would, I think. Having trouble remembering what Stormbeast's legs look like. Oh wait, no, these are more similar to Stormbeast, not Lava Beast. Lava Beast just have a connector in the knee, which looks a little bit strange. Yep, okay, so I was mistaken. Like I said, it's kind of been a day since I've played with those. Because I'm doing this right after getting up in the morning. Okay. So, well, I'm kind of going a little bit farther on this leg than I did the other one, but that's fine. Maybe not further, but just in an opposite direction. Instead of attaching the foot, I'm doing the upper leg. But oh well. Okay, let's do the upper leg on this one now. And that'll work just fine, I think. Not bad. I mean, the lack of armor on these sections does look a little unfinished. But we actually give this guy some asymmetrical armor on his legs, which is kind of neat. Like, one side of his body is much more crystally, I guess, than the other side. So anyway, that goes on there like that. And that goes on there like that. I do love me some trans purple. Oh, and also, the asymmetry goes even further. Oops, sorry about that. Let's get that lined up here. Oh, actually, there's our first emptied bucket here. So let's move these up there. Get some more space to work with here so we don't bump the camera again, hopefully. Anyway, the other knee here has a little transgreen spike. So yeah. I like that, actually. I don't know. Asymmetry has grown on me since 2015 Pohatu, I think. So, no ball joint in the elbow, that's a shame, but he does have some neat claws here, so let's see how that works. I think these claws in particular, in one way or another, kind of remind me of Hydraxon's hands. I mean, they're completely different, a little bit more simplified, actually, but I don't know. In some ways, they remind me of them. Also less articulate, so maybe this comparison's falling apart, but oh, actually, hold on. Oh no, I use a brown connector here, actually. That makes more sense. That goes on there like that. That goes there like that. So, custom hands and custom legs on all of these guys. I do have the purple claws in this little bucket here. Maybe that wasn't a great idea, because now I have to start digging. But we'll get to him. So, yes, there is that. Very nice little claws here. He's got one smaller hand here, and then he's got a large, punchy hand with crystals all over it. But, first things first, let's attach this to his stationary arm. There we go. I do like that hand design, actually. Okay. Oh yeah, this arm also has that shoulder mouth. So let's put that together here. Yeah. All the beasts, of course, have the shadow traps. And this one is kind of on his shoulder. Don't know how to feel about it. We'll see how that looks once it's together, though. So that goes there. Need a pin. I need one of these. Maybe I should have connected this before putting the trap on, but oh well. Works just the same. And then kind of similar to how we did it with Storm Beast. That connects through like that. And this is probably not the bucket I should have stacked this on, because I need these tiny pieces more than anything else right now. And then another one of these goes on the other side to lock it together. So there you got that. And I think this just plugs onto the shoulder. Easy enough. Yikes, I need to stop doing that, man. This is the camera bumping video. Okay, alright, so that goes on like that. Maybe it's his little friend. Maybe it's like a little parrot on his shoulder. I can talk if I can get it open here. There you go. Ah. Alright, so there's that. Kind of just hangs off there, but oh well. Let's move on. We're building his big crystally arm here. I'm going to move the camera one more time. Hopefully I can avoid bumping it for the umpteenth time. Jeez. Okay. Maybe I should, since I need this more often, maybe I should move that over there. And then like this over here. Because I'm... Ooh. His thumb fell off here. Oh, no, it wasn't his thumb. It was his pinky, I guess. Anyway. Yeah, make, you know, the things I need to access more often on this side, so I don't need to reach across. That kind of makes sense. So that goes there. And that goes there. I think we're making his little spinny mace drill of death right now. Yep. Okay, so that happens like that, and then I just realized that I'm bumping the camera around and the video's all shaky. It's kind of fitting, actually, that this is happening during Quake Beast's video. So yeah, let's think of that on the bright side. Okay, I kind of did this wrong. That's supposed to go like that. And that. Okay. And then, let's see if there's any way this has to be oriented. Or should be oriented. I don't know, I'm just being picky at this point. But no, it just goes on like that. Let's make sure that's in focus. And then, that goes there. And that goes there. One of my complaints, looking at this set in hand, and probably one of my complaints in person, is that when I put these on here, it does seem like there's a lot of space up here. And it seems to me they could have made this bone here shorter if they wanted to make the arm look, you know, very beefy and crystalline. But you'll see what I mean when I attach it here. It just seems like there's a lot of empty space right there. And they could have shortened that down and made the arm look a little bit more substantial, but oh well. Okay, next we are building his like shoulder blades. Where can I put this? I'm just gonna set him over here in the corner. Yeah, he's got these little crystal blades just seemingly like hanging off of his shoulder for some reason. They're the blades that are slicing through the top of the box. And I don't really understand their purpose, to be honest. TBH. Let's move the lights a little bit. Hopefully that'll give me more room too. And then that Well, this actually goes on like this. And then that goes on here. Oh, and then got one of these pieces and another one of these crystal pieces. And then I think this just, again, plugs onto his shoulder. See if I can get this in shot here. Yep, just like that. So maybe you can kind of bring the arm up like this. And maybe that looks a little bit better. I don't know. I'll play around with it later. But now, we attach the chest piece here. I assume that goes on here. Very stumpy, actually. It's got a very small torso. Big arms and tiny legs. Definitely the shortest of the beasts, I would say. This step just has me turn him around and put that on here. And now we're building the head. Let me actually get these pieces, put them over here, stack that there, and that there. So now we're just down to 3. Actually, do that. And then we're down to 2. This is the video where we stack things and not much else. Okay, so that goes there. Actually, just gonna get a few of these out here and lay them down. That's easier. This needs to go here, like that. But oh no, I need to turn the page, so you gotta get out of the way. Alright, and then eye stalk, headpiece, bada bing, bada boom. Goes on just like that. Actually, these seem a little bit pointless. You would think they'd just use bushings for that. Oh well. And that goes on here. And this goes on here. And then I'm just assuming, hear me out, that these attach the jaw. But I guess we'll find out here. Yep, what do you know? I think everything in this is just extra pieces now. So, this goes up, like this, actually. Which I found on Stormbeast actually severely hinders neck articulation. Like the Glatorian neck positioned like this. Like it can't look side to side very far. But maybe with this guy's like hunched neck, the shoulders would hinder that anyway, so maybe it's not as big of a problem. But there we got our bearded man there. Beard man McGreenhead. And then all that's left to do is put on the masks. So, let's get this out of the way here. Let's get our masks. Set these off to the side. Here are the extra pieces. It's good that you get one of these pieces here, these cylinders. I really like those. And you also got a half pin. And one normal pin, so that's not bad there. Here is Quake Beast alone. Let's put on his mask. Which again does look a little bit off with the different colored purple there, but you know, on camera it doesn't look actually that bad. And, it's growing on me in person. And then we can take the mask here and feed it to his shoulder. Like that. So as expected, I do like the way this guy looks a whole lot better in person, but I'm just going to go over some first impressions as I turn him around here. First of all, the face, I don't think it's too bad. I think the solid purple color here does complement the trans purple well enough. It's just that there isn't a whole lot of it on the figure. It's just on his face. Likewise, this color of purple stands out a whole lot more, and I feel like if this was the same color as his face, the same shade, it would have looked a whole lot better overall because it would be in more places than one, and it would generally just match a little bit more. I do actually really like the way this arm is built. It's very simple, but rather effective. I really like the purple claws, and surprisingly, I do think the shadow trap is fairly well integrated here, especially when you have a mask inside of it. It's very bulbous, very bulky, and actually suits him rather well. Towards the back here, you can see he's kind of gappy. A little bit unfinished looking, but I try not to be too critical when looking at the back of a figure. I've said it many times before. I don't generally view figures from this angle, so I don't think it's too important that they look immaculate from here, although you do have this piece kind of just hanging off the bottom, which is unfortunate. You also have the blades sticking off here, and they don't move on their own here. There's no individual movement or anything. So they do seem a little bit useless, kind of weird, but the more I look at them, actually, especially from the front here, I do like the design. It's interesting to look at. The character design is kind of cool there, I think, personally. So turning him back around, we can see the little knob here, and when we turn this, it swings his arm forward and back in kind of a punching motion, just like this. Of course, when you open this up, that looks kind of ugly. You can see everything involved here. It's very open. You can see gaps in the chest here. That's probably the biggest downside of this entire figure, the fact that when you bring the arm back like this, it just opens everything up in such an apparent way. But like I said earlier, you also have the gap in the shoulder here when you bring his arm down, and it's not actually that bad from certain angles, but especially since his shoulder here is so much further back than this one, it does look a little bit weird, and I definitely wish this bone piece was a bit shorter. But if you kind of bring this up and lock the two crystal pieces together, you can kind of get a uniform look that looks alright from most angles, although from the back here it still looks a little bit strange. Also strange is his wrist here. This is just a punching tool, by the way. It's not a drill or anything like Korgot. This piece here can spin around freely so long as you don't have it pushed in all the way, because if it's pushed in all the way, there's kind of too much friction to make it spin freely. But as long as you leave a little bit of room there, you can spin this. And I guess that's kind of like a bladed weapon, but it isn't quite a drill. It's on a ball joint just incidentally, and you can get that looking kind of weird, but as long as you keep it straightforward, I think it's fine. Although from some angles it does look a little bit gappy and disconnected from the rest of the arm, so not entirely sure about that either. I mean, overall, I do really like him, much better than I thought I would. All it takes is just posing him right and looking at him from certain angles, but I suppose arguably that doesn't make a great set if it only looks good from one way or another. But anyway, let's do some comparisons here. Here he is next to one of the smaller $15 Toa, next to Liwa, and even by a $15 Toa, he is totally dwarfed. He's easily the shortest of the three beasts, but, you know, the Earth characters are usually a bit shorter than the rest, of course. And then pairing him next to Onua here, which, even though he's a $20 set, actually isn't that much taller, if taller at all, than Liwa. He's still a little bit short, but I do think those blades raising up so high do kind of make up for that a little bit, so maybe that's the point. Anyway, let's take this mask here and see how that looks on Onua. Pull this off. Just like that. And the green doesn't match his color scheme very well, but I actually kind of like this a little bit better than any of the other corrupted masks on the other Toa, just because it kind of gives me early Onua vibes. The green and black reminds me of 2001, 2002 Onua, so that's definitely a plus. For one final comparison, I've moved into my larger filming setup. So we can take a look at all of this wave's villains side by side. And I really like the way these guys look together. Like, even though the three beasts have very similar faces, as a collective group, I just think they have so much more visual identity than last year's Skull villains. Because in hindsight, the Skull army was a little bit generic by comparison, with maybe Scorpio and Slicer as exceptions. But these guys are just so much more interesting to look at. And I still stand by the fact that a shelf full of an army of beasts would be incredible. If you couldn't tell, I'm trying to be a little bit more open about my first impressions in these recent Let's Builds. That said, if I were to rank the smaller beasts right now, I'd say that visually, Lava Beast is still my favorite, but he's definitely the least interesting overall. He's very simple, but he kind of rolls with that simplicity. Now, on the flip side, I think Storm Beast is my least favorite visually, but he's definitely the most interesting functionality-wise. And then somewhere in the middle is Quake Beast. I think he looks better than Storm Beast, and I think he's more interesting than Lava Beast, but I don't like the way he looks as much as Lava Beast, and I don't think he's nearly as interesting as Storm Beast, so take that as you will. And then, of course, there is Umarak the Destroyer, who I just think is awesome. The more I play around with this guy, the more I like him. But, of course, take these opinions with a little bit of reserve, because they're very impulsive and they are definitely subject to change. So wait for my more experienced and formal reviews that will come much later on. Of course, we have one more set left in this wave, Akimu the Mask Maker, and until then, that is about it, guys, and this is IX Roll at IX, signing off.